Daniel was a young man of 22, full of charm and good looks. On campus, people always noticed him. Girls whispered about his smile, and boys wished they had his confidence. But inside Daniel's heart, there was a hunger that never stopped. He wanted the soft life, he wanted money, luxury, cars, designer clothes, and the kind of respect that only wealth could buy. Daniel's family was not rich. His father was a retired schoolteacher, and his mother sold food in the village market. They did their best to support him, but life was still hard. School fees, rent, and daily living costs pressed on him like a heavy load. Daniel often told himself, "I will not suffer like this forever. I must make it, no matter what it takes." One evening, as Daniel walked near the famous North Hill estate, a place where only the rich lived, something happened that changed his life. A shiny black Range Rover stopped beside him. The tinted window rolled down slowly. Inside sat a woman who looked like royalty. She was Mrs. Vanessa, a 45-year-old widow. Her skin was smooth, her jewelry sparkled under the streetlights, and her voice carried power. "Hello, young man," she said warmly. "What is your name?" Daniel, a little nervous, replied, "My name is Daniel, Ma." That was the beginning. Within days, Daniel found himself inside Vanessa's grand mansion. The house was like a palace: chandeliers, golden decorations, expensive wine, and a swimming pool that shone under the lights. Vanessa treated him kindly, offering him food, money, and attention. For the first time in his life, Daniel felt the sweet taste of wealth. He smiled to himself and thought, "This is the life I have been waiting for." But he did not know that this beautiful beginning would one day turn into a nightmare darker than anything he had ever imagined. From that first meeting, Mrs. Vanessa showed Daniel a side of life he had only seen in movies. She owned companies, drove luxury cars, and had workers who answered to her every command. Whenever Daniel visited her mansion, he was treated like a prince. The maids served him delicious meals, and the security guards opened doors for him. Vanessa, though older, was still very beautiful. She carried herself with pride and elegance. Many men in town respected her, but also feared her because of her sharp tongue and powerful connections. She had lost her husband years ago and was now one of the richest women in North Hill. It didn't take long before she began showering Daniel with gifts. First, she paid his school fees. Then she surprised him with a brand new Toyota Corolla, saying, "A man like you should not be trekking under the sun." Daniel could hardly believe his luck. Each week, Vanessa gave him money, clothes, and even rented a 2-bedroom apartment for him near campus. Suddenly, the boy who once struggled to pay rent was now living large. His friends noticed the change. On campus, people pointed and whispered, "Daniel has arrived." But with her gifts came her demands. One night, as they sat together in her living room, Vanessa looked him in the eyes and said, "Daniel, I have given you everything you need. But I ask only one thing: your loyalty. After school, you will marry me. You must never betray me with another woman." Daniel smiled and nodded. "Of course, Ma. You have done so much for me. I will always respect you." But deep inside, he had no plan to keep that promise. To him, Vanessa was only a sponsor, not a true lover. He wanted the money, the gifts, the lifestyle, but not the chains that came with it. And so, while Vanessa trusted him, Daniel was already planning his double life. With Vanessa's money and gifts, Daniel quickly became one of the most popular boys on campus. His car made him stand out, his clothes were always fresh, and his pocket was never empty. Everywhere he went, people admired him. Girls especially could not resist him. They loved his confidence, his looks, and his ability to spend freely. Soon Daniel had more admirers than he could handle. Although he had promised Vanessa his loyalty, he could not ignore the attention. At first, he tried to be careful. He would sneak around with campus girls, making sure no one posted about him online. During the day, he visited Vanessa, playing the role of a respectful, obedient young man. At night, he became a campus playboy, entertaining girlfriends who thought he was single and free. But secrets do not last forever. One of his girlfriends, a playful girl named Sade, grew tired of hiding. She wanted the world to know Daniel was hers. One evening, she posted a picture of the two of them together, hugging at a restaurant. Within hours, the picture spread on social media. Daniel panicked. He rushed to beg Saad to delete it, but it was too late. The image had already been shared, and someone who mattered most had seen it. That night, Vanessa scrolled through her phone in her luxurious bedroom. When she saw the picture of Daniel with another woman, her lips curved into a cold smile. She did not scream, she did not cry. Instead, she calmly closed the app and whispered to herself, "So, you want to play games with me, Daniel? You have no idea who you are dealing with." From that night, she began to plan her revenge. For days, Vanessa acted as though nothing was wrong. When Daniel came over, she smiled, cooked for him, and even gave him money. She wanted him to believe that she had not seen the picture. Daniel, relaxed by her calmness, continued his double life without fear. Then one Friday evening, Vanessa called him. "Daniel, come to the house tomorrow. I have something special for you. A gift you will never forget." Daniel was excited. He told his friends he was expecting big money. He imagined she might even buy him another car or give him land. Without hesitation, he dressed in his finest clothes and went to her mansion the next day. When he arrived, Vanessa welcomed him warmly. "Sit down, my dear," she said, pouring him a glass of wine. "You have been such a good boy. Today I want to reward you." Daniel, smiling, lifted the glass and drank deeply. But within minutes his head felt heavy, his eyes blurred, and his body grew weak. He tried to stand, but his legs betrayed him. His last clear sight was Vanessa standing over him, smiling coldly. "You thought you could fool me, Daniel? You thought I would share you with those little campus girls. If I cannot have you, then no one will." When he woke up, Daniel found himself in a dark room. His hands and legs were tied to a bed. The windows were covered, and a large metal door was locked from the outside. Panic filled his chest. That was the beginning of his nightmare. Days turned into nights, and Daniel realized he was trapped. Vanessa visited him daily, bringing food, water, and medicine. At first, he begged her to let him go. "Please, Ma, I will never cheat again. Please release me." But Vanessa only laughed. "No, Daniel. You belong to me. If I let you out, you will run back to those girls. Here I control you. Here you are mine alone." She had turned a hidden room in her mansion into a private prison. The door was reinforced with steel and locked with heavy padlocks. Daniel was powerless. At night, Vanessa would return with wine and strange drugs. She forced Daniel to drink them, and soon his body became weak. She used him for her desires, ignoring his tears and cries of exhaustion. One night he whispered, "Please, I'm tired." But she only silenced him with a cold stare. For weeks this continued. Daniel's once handsome face grew pale, his eyes sunken, and his body weak. He felt like a shadow of himself. Meanwhile, outside, his disappearance began to raise questions. On campus, friends wondered why Daniel no longer appeared. His family grew worried when he stopped calling. Slowly, whispers began, "Where is Daniel?" But inside Vanessa's mansion, the young man lived in silent torment. After 2 weeks without hearing from Daniel, his mother became restless. She called his friends, but no one knew his whereabouts. "He doesn't pick calls, Ma," one of them said. "We thought he traveled." Worried, his parents reported him missing to the police. Flyers with his picture were shared, and students on campus began to search. One friend, Said, the same girl whose picture had caused the trouble, was deeply guilty. She told the police that Daniel was last seen heading to Mrs. Vanessa's mansion. At first, the officers were hesitant. Vanessa was powerful and connected. But when CCTV footage from the estate gate showed Daniel entering her compound and never leaving, the case grew serious. The police quietly planned a raid. They suspected something dark was happening behind the high walls of Vanessa's mansion. Inside the hidden room, Daniel lay weak and hopeless. He had lost count of the days. The once ambitious boy who wanted the soft life now prayed for only one thing: freedom. He had no idea that outside, a search party was moving closer, and his nightmare was about to take a new turn. The police moved carefully. Vanessa's mansion was known for its tall walls, guards, and tight security. But the evidence was strong, and they had a search warrant. At dawn, 3 police vans drove quietly into North Hill. Officers surrounded the compound before knocking loudly on her gate. "Open up, police," one officer shouted. Vanessa appeared calm when she opened the gate. Dressed in her silk robe, she smiled and said, What is the meaning of this? Why are you disturbing me? But the officers pushed inside. They searched every corner of the mansion, bedrooms, bathrooms, and even the garage. For hours, they found nothing. Vanessa crossed her arms and smirked. You see? Wasting your time. Just when the police were about to leave, one sharp-eyed officer noticed a wall in the basement that sounded hollow when tapped. He ordered it broken. Behind it was a hidden door with heavy padlocks. When they forced it open, the smell of sweat and dampness filled the air. And there, lying weak on a bed, was Daniel. His clothes were torn, his hands tied, and his eyes swollen from tears. "Help me," he whispered faintly. The officers rushed to free him, carrying his weak body outside. The mansion that once felt like paradise to him had now become his prison. Vanessa stood frozen, her proud face turning pale. For the first time, she realized her power could not save her. News spread quickly. Videos of Daniel being carried out of Vanessa's mansion flooded social media. People were shocked. How could such a respected woman do this? They asked. Daniel was rushed to the hospital. His parents wept when they saw him. His mother held his thin hands and cried, "My son, what did they do to you?" He could hardly speak. The weeks of captivity had broken him. Doctors treated him for weakness, drug abuse, and trauma. Reporters tried to interview him, but Daniel avoided their questions. Meanwhile, Vanessa was taken to the police station in handcuffs. Crowds gathered outside, booing her as cameras flashed. For the first time, the powerful widow looked small and helpless. The police confirmed the charges: kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and sexual assault. The entire community buzzed with the scandal. Neighbors who once admired her now shook their heads in disbelief. Daniel's friends visited him at the hospital. Some were silent, others ashamed. They had once envied his lifestyle, but now they saw the dark truth behind it. Daniel lay on his hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. He thought of his hunger for the soft life and whispered to himself, "Greed brought me here." Weeks later, Vanessa's trial began. The courtroom was full. Journalists, students, neighbors, and curious citizens all wanted to hear the case. The prosecutor presented evidence: CCTV footage of Daniel entering the mansion, the hidden prison room, the drugs found in her possession, and Daniel's weak testimony. When Daniel took the stand, he trembled as he spoke. His voice was faint, but his words pierced the room. "She said if she couldn't have me, no one else would. She kept me locked like an animal. I thought I would die there." Gasps filled the courtroom. Vanessa, dressed in fine clothes, tried to defend herself. She claimed Daniel was lying, that he had stayed with her willingly. But the evidence was too strong. The pictures of the secret room and Daniel's condition were undeniable. The judge's voice was firm when he finally spoke. "Mrs. Vanessa, you abused your power, your wealth, and the trust of a young man. You are guilty of all charges." Her sentence was heavy: 20 years in prison. The once proud widow broke down in tears as she was led away in handcuffs. Though Daniel was free, life was never the same. The soft life he once dreamed of now looked like a curse. He could no longer enjoy flashy clothes or cars. He refused to step into nightclubs, and when girls tried to talk to him, he withdrew silently. At night, he had nightmares: chains around his wrists, Vanessa's cold stare, and the echo of his own voice whispering, "Please, I'm tired." His friends tried to cheer him up, but Daniel was no longer the lively young man they knew. The trauma had left deep scars in his heart. On campus, students whispered when he walked past. Some pitied him, while others mocked him for being a sugar boy who had fallen into a trap. But Daniel no longer cared about their opinions. He had learned a bitter truth. Greed had led him to pain, and chasing luxury without hard work had nearly cost him his life. The scandal changed not only Daniel's life, but also the community's. Parents warned their children about the dangers of chasing money blindly. Preachers used Daniel's story as a sermon against greed and immorality. Students on campus also changed. Many who once envied Daniel's soft life now saw the danger behind it. They understood that not every gift is a blessing. Sometimes it is a trap. Vanessa in prison became a forgotten story. Her wealth and power meant nothing behind bars. The mansion that once shined with pride stood empty, its walls now silent reminders of her downfall. Daniel's story spread beyond North Hill. Newspapers wrote about it, and radio stations debated it. It became a lesson for the young and old alike. Love built on money, power, and control is not love at all. It is bondage. Months later, Daniel finally returned home to his village. He sat quietly with his parents, looking at the simple life he had once despised. The farm, the market, the little house. These things now brought him peace. His father sat beside him and said, "My son, you wanted the world too fast. You forgot that true success takes time and hard work. What happened to you is painful, but let it guide your future." Daniel nodded slowly. His heart was heavy, but his mind was clear. He had lost his innocence, but he had gained wisdom. He no longer dreamed of shortcuts to wealth. He no longer envied flashy lifestyles. Instead, he chose to rebuild himself step by step, with honesty and patience. The story of Daniel and Vanessa ended as a warning to all. Greed blinds, obsession destroys, and false love imprisons. True love is freedom, not chains. True success is built, not bought. And as Daniel walked into the quiet evening of his village, he whispered to himself, "Never again." Relationships built on greed, obsession, and control will never end well. Daniel's hunger for the soft life led him into a trap, while Vanessa's desperate need for possession destroyed her completely. In the end, both lost their peace, their happiness, and their freedom. True love is never forced. It is built on respect, patience, and trust. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story and would love to hear more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Magical African Tales for more powerful and unforgettable stories.